Okay, we are back, and this is part two, so I'm just going to pick up where we left off with what we were talking about. If you want to paint like you're colorizing a black and white photo, that's actually a really great place to start, and that's kind of like how a lot of the Renaissance painters painted. They would work primarily on doing a grisaille with like a burnt umber or raw umber, and all that means is like they're creating the entire underpainting with that specific shade of paint. Plus white, and like if you even see a lot of Leonardo da Vinci's unfinished paintings, he basically just created grisailles and added the color on top. And a lot of those old, oh, I think my daughter just woke up. I think a lot of those traditional masters, you really can see how they did a great job of, like, with the limited colors that they had, creating such realism by using that method. So if you get comfortable doing that, then the only thing left you would have to do after that is just adding your color glazes, which is what we're doing at the moment, your reds, yellows, and blues, to kind of emulate what the lighting is like, almost like adding your Instagram filter. What your flush is like, or if you're very sick, you'd probably have more greens and blues in your face and under your eyes. You would add your color glazes to kind of add in the color of the chin, the cheeks, and the forehead, which typically has colors of yellow, reds, and blues based on our blood vessels and how thin and transparent our skin is in certain areas, and where you can see those vessels and what they do, having like a flush around the cheeks. So these are all things that you will start to learn after you've kind of figured out how to make an underpainting, focusing on your values and building the structure of the face, creating a very nice gradient to make it a believable face, not like a flat piece of paper where you just put an eye or put two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. There's curves not only from this part, but here, even your teeth have curves, and each individual tooth has curves. And I know this is starting to sound super overwhelming, but if you're only focusing focusing your painting on the highlights, midtones, and shadows, and you're just seeing that, then the puzzle pieces will start to be put together. And my daughter has just woken up and we are 3 minutes in. Okay. At the moment, I am working on her eyes, and I used to spend so much time painting eyes. And now I started to realize that if you're able to just focus on, because eyes are glossy, and they're supposed to be, otherwise if you had dry eyes, it'd be really hard to blink and move your eyes around. But because they're so glossy, you really want to focus on what makes something look wet, and that is those highlights and where they are specifically at certain points of the eye. So when you're looking at your reference photo, not only where are the highlights, but where are the reflections of the eyelashes? That was something I never really thought about for the longest time. So if you think about it, your lid is going over your glossy eyeball. Because your lid is covering and protecting your eyeball, your eyelashes are also covering and protecting your eyes from dust and wind and debris, whatever. And because they hang and the light is shining through depending on where your light source is around you, you're going to be able to see your eyelashes in the eye. So the next time you look at your reference photo, don't just look at the highlights, which are the brightest parts. Try to look and see what reflections are in the eye, and see if you could pinpoint any of the eyelashes that are reflecting. And sometimes they kind of go in opposite ways for the reflection, and that's just more of an optical illusion based on the curve of your eye and the way your eyelashes kind of curve as well and go out one direction. But when I started focusing my attention on those tiny details, instead of like, oh, I need to have everything look like her eyes are blue or her eyes are brown, once I got rid of that idea and really looked at like the information that was given to me, I really felt like my eyes then started to look way more realistic than ones that I did like 5 to 10 years ago. I felt like that's a major breakthrough for me, and if I can share more information like that to you, I will definitely do that, because if you can kind of jump right to knowing those things and looking for those things, then your paintings are going to just be that more advanced. And really what it comes down to is creating realism in your portraits is knowing what to look for in your reference photos or in your subject that is sitting in front of you. If you don't know what you're looking for, then you're going to be lost and you're not going to know you're going to feel overwhelmed. So having a process, kind of like we have here, with working on the background, sculpting the values, and then doing color glazes on top, having that process makes you aware of like what you need to do next and give you an idea of how long it's going to take for you to finish your painting based on how slow, how fast you are. And if you're a beginner, I would say take it slow. Remix your paint often. Get a really good audiobook. Get a really good audiobook to listen to. And if you're like, I'm not a reader, I'm telling you, you could listen to any story you want. It doesn't have to be anything educational. Get something action-packed. Like, think of all your favorite movies most likely came from books originally. So you'll really sit longer for your paintings, especially as a new artist. You're going to want to sit in front of your paintings and you're not going to want to get bored. So get something that really grabs your attention, because it'll make you a better artist. And I cannot recommend audiobooks enough. Okay, we're getting to the end of this. We have less than a minute, and I'm using my blender brush to kind of add in darker values of the hair, but I'm still keeping it pretty loose. I'm only focusing, like I'm leaving the highlight areas alone, and by using the glaze, I'm still getting that the underpainting shining through. I'm not working on the bangs yet, and I think that's because I want to focus more on the forehead. I'm not quite sure. We have one more video left, so I guess we'll see. Oh, bangs. Here we go. So all I'm doing, I'm most likely, I'm using a blender brush to add in somewhat heavy hair. I guess we'll see what happens. All right, take care.